This is LOA Recon with Good Vibe Coach Jeanette Ma, where we explore the ins and outs of conscious creation to manifest our favorite dreams come true. Let's have some fun together. Welcome and thank you for joining me for another episode. Today I'm inviting you to join me in a thought experiment. Here we go. What if everything you did, or everything you attempted, was always a guaranteed enormous success? Like everything you touched, it's a guaranteed win. What would that be like? Every time you swung a golf club, you got a hole-in-one. Every person you asked out said yes enthusiastically. Every post you published went viral. Every investment you made paid off exponentially. Everything you ever wanted to buy, you could easily afford. Does that sound amazing? Like you're the golden child with the magic touch that everything you set your mind to comes to easy, full, swift fruition? Does that sound like your idea of a good time? It might at first, right? I mean, walking through life where everything goes our way, it's always, only, ever amazing? We could do no wrong? It's just the very best thing, whatever we put our mind to? Okay, but let's keep thinking on that. Imagine that would be like day after day after day, over and over. It's always, only, ever a perfect success. How long would you still enjoy golfing like that, do you think? I mean, who would even go golfing with you? You kind of have to really imagine this because at first blush it might sound spectacular. A perfect shot every time. No matter what we attempted, we succeeded at the highest level every time. Best-selling book, one after another. A perfect workout each and every time. The top score on the video game that you play. Never losing, never faltering, no missed shots. Who wouldn't want that experience? Sign me up, right? But would it really be good to live like that? I'm asking because I just listened to an interview with Ellen Langer, the Harvard psychologist, where she talked about how that's actually overrated. What she said was, if it always worked out exactly the way you anticipated, like a hole-in-one in every shot, there'd be no there. Those were her exact words. There'd be no there. I think you have to engage this thought experiment over time. Like imagine what it would be like over time. How much fun is it still going to be to go golfing or playing chess or whatever we're doing when everything we do is 100% successful? How long is it still going to be fun to go to the golf course? Because there's no challenge there. There's nothing at stake. How do you celebrate a win when it's a win every time? I read this summary about Ellen's work. It goes, full enjoyment of life requires uncertainty and engagement. When things become too predictable or automatic, we lose the meaningful experience of actually being present and alive in the moment. Let's think about this from the money perspective, because that's when I think a lot of people would say, look, you can't have too much financial success, bring it on. I'm using money instead of orgasms because I, for the life of me, could not see a downside to having the best possible sexual experience every time we went for it. I mean, hello. But let's try imagining it with money. All the money you could ever have. There's never anything you couldn't buy if you wanted to. Islands, governments, space shuttles, whatever you wanted. Money's no limit. In fact, I also recently read a quote from William James Dawson in Shane Parrish's letter. It goes like this: the thing that is least perceived about wealth is that all pleasure in money ends at the point where economy becomes unnecessary. The man who can buy anything he covets values nothing that he buys. Can you feel a kernel of truth in that? You might have to continue this thought experiment on your own for a while to really get there, but once you do, I think you'll find that a surefire win every time is actually overrated. Why is it that easy, guaranteed success isn't all that it's cracked up to be? Mihai, the Czechoslovakian author who wrote Flow, he might know the answer to that question, and every other researcher whose studies showed that the conditions present when we are feeling our very best, meaning the most alive and most fulfilled, are when we are engaging a challenge. When we're in the sweet spot between boredom and anxiety, that's where we love it the most. Because if it's too easy, we get bored. Like Ellen says, how fun would it be to win tic-tac-toe against a 4-year-old every time? If that were fun, we'd play every game against an opponent who had no chance of winning. On the other hand, if it's too hard, we get frustrated. That's pretty easy to understand, right? Haven't we all been there at some point? But when we're in that sweet spot where the challenge is just beyond our skill level, that's where we enter the state of flow, where time falls away, we're completely absorbed, and we experience that sense of aliveness and engagement and growth that is so deeply satisfying. The conclusion that leads us to is that guaranteed successes are hollow. It's kind of like when I play Wordle. I play it every day with a handful of friends and my dad. And look, I could just look up the day's word online and get it right on my first try every time, but that's not how I play. Why? Because I like the challenge of it. I don't play to win, I play to grow. It wouldn't be fun if I was psychic and I could guess the word every time on my first try. But that might be kind of fun. For a minute, anyway. After a while, I probably wouldn't play Wordle anymore. I'd probably be looking for something else that did offer a challenge. In fact, I already added constraints to my Wordle game to make it more enjoyable. I play in hard mode and only for a minute. If I don't get it in 60 seconds, I'm a bust for the day because that's more fun for me. I like it like that. And I know I'm not alone. You prefer a challenge too, on some things. All right, here's why I'm talking about this with fellow creators. A while back, my sweetie said something that stuck with me. He was working on one of his cars. He's got a bunch of old cars. Actually, he was working on my 72 Ford Highboy, and something was not going well. I can't remember what he was doing, but it was just one dead end after another, one swear word after another. Nothing was working. I eventually walked out and said to him with empathy, I said, it's not going well, huh? Because I could hear how it was not going well. And he looked at me as he was cleaning off a wrench with the rag, and he smiled a genuine smile, and he said, it's all part of the game. He meant it too. It's all part of the game. I've been thinking about that, and I realized that he's like me, playing in hard mode under 60 seconds on Wordle. He likes the challenge. It's a thrill for him to figure it out. This guy lays awake at night diagnosing issues in his cars. Not even just his cars, his kids' cars, his ex-wife's cars, his coworkers' cars, his friends' cars. He likes this stuff. It's fun for him. And it's actually not just cars. He loves it when I present a problem that I can't solve. Like, this cat scratch post keeps tipping over, or these chickens need a shorter roost, or the coop needs more shade from the afternoon sun. He loves it. And it's most fun for him when it's challenging, because if it's too easy, he kind of feels like it's beneath him. He doesn't really get engaged. Actually, you know what? That's how we met. We were talking online. I had a issue with my irrigation pump that no one could solve. I had run it by 3 different people. No one could figure out what was wrong. He drove up. He diagnosed it within, I think it was like 30 seconds. He had my pump fixed. Man, that was cool. My point being, he likes the challenge. I think we all do. It's all part of the game. So I've been reminding myself that whenever I bump into problems or issues, like the captions are in the wrong place on my Instagram reel. How do I move them? Oh, AI says I got to be doing it from Instagram on my phone. You know what? I don't want to use Instagram on my phone. I don't have joy for that. So how else? CapCut. Oh, wait, it costs $180 a year for captions? Okay, I found a discounted subscription. Now I got captions on my video. But wait, now YouTube is adding them too. I have double captions now. It's all part of the game of following on an inspiration to deliver bite-sized nuggets of LOA wisdom to my fellow creators where they hang out. Or my black-eyed Susans are doing so well they're taking over the garden. They're expanding into bushes and the lavender and the walkway. What am I going to do? Someone said, this is why you don't plant these flowers. They're invasive. But they're my favorite. Black-eyed Susans are my favorite flower. And I don't just want to pull them and put them in the compost. That seems like sacrilege to me. Maybe a neighbor wants some. Maybe I could move them to another part of the yard. It's all part of the game. The game of creating my nature home sanctuary. I planted 2 bushes too close together. Can I move one? Oh, that's going to be a mission. But it's all part of the game. My business manager kept telling me the same thing, what I need to do different and why my plan won't work. And I keep explaining why I can't follow that advice. I don't feel like it. That's an acceptable answer in my world. It's all part of the game of growing my business authentically with joy in my heart. I'm thinking that understanding we don't want a hole-in-one every time can help soften some of those bumps in the road when we run into them. That this is part of our desired stretch. This is part of our challenge. This is part of the fun. The contrast we experience, whatever it is, it's not the problem that we think it is. It's part of the game. It's why it's worth it. Because if it weren't here, we'd be bored to tears. And yes, I get it. There can be such a thing as too much contrast. Luckily, we conscious creators know how to manage that vibrationally, right? Because we're cool like that. We know that we're in charge here. We're calling the shots. We know that how we feel is a result of whatever we're focused on. What I'm saying here is it's part of the game to feel the challenge of it, to feel the stretch of it, to feel the joy of a win that wasn't guaranteed, that wasn't even easy. Yes, sometimes it's great when it's easy, but if all things were, I think we'd get bored and we'd look for different parties to go to where we could learn and stretch and grow more. So my point is, the next time something sucky happens, think about this and see if you can say, it's all part of the game, and get any leverage with that thought, any relief from thinking about it that way, even if it's just for comic relief. I've repeated those words to Chad on other occasions when it was not super well received. It made me laugh, even if not him. So it might not be for every occasion, but for some of them, maybe. Maybe we can understand that a hole in one every time would take the fun out of it, and we can relish more in those things that stretch us and challenge us, because easy is overrated, and the contrasty challenges we experience are all part of the game. I hope you got some inspiration from this. Thanks for listening, and happy manifesting.